You know, it's funny. In 1985, I lived in a building in Fort Lee, and there was a Panamanian woman, and she told me that she went to Cuba twice as a young girl, and she wasn't surprised what was going on in Cuba. It was God's punishment. She goes, it was such a disgusting fucking place. And then it was weird. A couple of days after I'm talking to TJ, somebody on Facebook, I did a joke for my CISO special about Club 38. The owner, his name was Willie Vandy, and his claim to fame was that his grandfather had the biggest dick in Cuba. I grew up with two kids that had a claim to fame. One of them, his dad was the best pool player in Cuba. And Americans would go down and he'd beat the fuck out of him in pool. They played Chicago. 8-ball, whatever, Chicago.
Yeah.
The other guy's claim to fame was that his grandfather was the guy in Godfather 2 who had the big dick, and they called him Superman. And on Saturday nights at Club 38 in Union City, on Saturdays, he recreated. And he had people come down, and it'd be like a comedy show, $10 to get in, 200 people. He would get some coked out chick, tie her up. Two Cubans like that would play the congas, and he'd come out and fuck the lady in public, and Cubans would go crazy with the biggest dick in the world. And my joke...
You would fuck her in public? That was the whole thing?
Yeah, that was
like
the whole
public
thing.
Fuck show?
That was a public fuck show, but it went all the way back to Cuba to like 55. Like, the name of the place was...
The Shanghai Theater.
The Shanghai Theater, and then in Godfather 2... they take Michael there, and all of a sudden he goes, I would have never found this place if it wasn't for Johnny Ola. And that's when Michael finds out that he betrayed him. So they don't show the guy's
Wouldn't
dick.
it have been simpler if the guy with the big dick was also the greatest pool player, because he could just use his dick as a pool
Yeah, that
stick?
would have been perfect. So they did this article about 2 weeks ago. It's on my Facebook, and it's called In Search of Superman. Joe Rogan, it was the most disgusting article I had ever read in my life. That these white dudes went on a 50-year looking for Superman and the legend of the guy with the big dick. In fact, Duval went to Cuba to the location, even though it's closed, just to see where it was. And what the story is that us as Americans would go down there every week, and that was our first stop, to see this big black Cuban dude fuck the shit out of some poor white chick, yelling and screaming. The place was sold out every night. I mean, the guy was a gardener. The article is sensational, if you could find it. It's called In Search of Superman. And there it is, Superman of Havana. But when it came out the same week that they said that, what are you fucking crazy? They ain't no fake. That's real. That's why they call him Superman. Fredo the
Now,
Godfather.
I saw a video of Superman. When I was researching Havana Nocturne, I found out that Santo Traficante had a lawyer named Sam Regano, since deceased. But Sam Regano used to take a lot of Super 8 videos when he'd go down to Cuba. His son, who's currently a lawyer in Tampa, told me that he had Super 8 footage of Superman that his father had made in the 50s. Superman at a private sex show fucking a girl. And I said, ooh, I got to see that. Could I see that? I mean, I think that's the only existing video footage anywhere of Superman. And he said, yeah, but I'm not going to give it up. You got to come to Tampa and I'll show it for you. So I go down there. I'll never forget. He's a lawyer too. He says, you got to come at 6 o'clock after the office closes, so then we can watch it. And I get there and the cleaning lady's still there. So he brings me in the conference room where he's going to show me the film. And we got to sit there and wait until the cleaning lady's done, because he didn't want to put this film on while the cleaning lady's in the room. So he puts it on. The office is completely empty. And he shows me this footage, and his father had scored it to like Wagner or Beethoven, like triumphant classical music. And it's at a private show. It's in somebody's home. They had private sex salons in Havana where you'd go to like some rich person's house, you'd pay some money, you had cocktails, and then someone would clap at a certain time, and you knew that was time for the show, and everyone would sit down, and Superman would come out, and he fucked this Cuban woman who was small. He was big and she was small, and he's banging her from every conceivable angle. It was the least sexy thing you've ever seen in your life. I mean, it looked like some kind of torture, really. And that was it. And this guy had this footage, which is probably worth a lot of money.
How big was his dick, do you say?
The dick was big. it wasn't. It wasn't. No, I say that because it wasn't like it wasn't the. I'm not sure it was even the biggest dick I've ever seen. I mean, it was bigger than my dick.
It's bigger than normal.
It was bigger than
the guys today. It's almost like athletes. Like if you go back and look at, when Jim Brown was playing football, he was very impressive. But was he Herschel Walker? You know what I'm saying? Like athletes of today's era are different. And if you go back and look at John Holmes, yeah, he had a big dick. But was it Lexington Steele? Like these guys have bigger dicks now.
But the
they're more advanced. People are growing.
The thing that freaked me out about
the human species is advancing.
It's advancing.
It's amazing. When my mother died in '79, and whenever I did something, like if I combed my head differently, or if I wore like an orange shirt, my mom would go, "What are you, fucking Rock Hudson?" And I go, "What the fuck are you talking about, Rock Hudson?" And one day I asked, I go, "Why do you always call me a Rock Hudson?" And she goes, "Because Rock Hudson, I don't maricon." And I go, "What the fuck are you talking about?" She told me, she died in '79. My mom told me in 1978, flat out to my face, that fucking he was gay as could be. And I'm like, you know what? I'm sick and tired of you fucking Cubans. Because Cubans, like they used to tell me when I was a kid that they smacked Bruce Lee in Cuba one time. That he went down there talking shit and one of my uncles smacked him in the face. Cubans will lie to you just to fucking fuck with you.
Right.
So I thought my mother was fucking with me. She's like, Rock Hudson is as gay as a $3 bill. And I go, what the fuck are you talking about? She goes, let me tell you what I'm talking about, right? When I was a little girl, Rock Hudson would come to Cuba and we would all go to the hotel. Like when Michael Jackson goes to a hotel and people come outside and they clap.
Right.
And he shook the kid outside the window.
Right.
We would be out there like waiting to see Rock Hudson. But the hotel guy would tell us he was up there in a room with a man. And I would go, Ma, are you fucking crazy? Like, I didn't believe her. My mother died in '79, '85. Rock Hudson comes on and says he's gay. Like, Cuba was just a hiding place for people. That
but did your mother know that Marlon Brando was fucking Richard Pryor?
No. But I found out from this article, if we would have scrolled down a little bit, it says it, that they asked his neighbors, and the neighbors were like, no, he was bisexual. And his number one guy that was known every time he came to Cuba was Marlon Brando. He goes, Marlon Brando would walk in there with 2 showgirls, and then him and fucking Superman would leave by themselves.
Well, Brando loved the music.
Yeah,
he
Brando loved it. He played
bongos and
yeah,
congas,
he did all
and
that shit.
he was really into it.
Well, Pryor's wife was saying that back then they were doing so much coke that everybody just fucked everybody.
Everybody. Yeah,
that's just so crazy.
Didn't Mick Jagger fuck somebody like David Bowie,
supposedly,
George Harrison?
Yeah. That was one of Mick Jagger's wives said she caught David Bowie in bed with Mick Jagger.
I've done a lot of coke, but I never wanted to fuck you up the ass, Joe Rogan. You know what I'm saying? Like I did a lot of coke, but I never wanted to fuck another guy.
Look at this in the story. Brando, who was bisexual, took off with Superman, ditching the dancers. So Superman was bisexual too.
Yeah. In fact, I heard he had died of gangrene.
Gangrene.
Yeah.
And here it says
he was infected.
Yeah, he died with a lover.
From sex?
Oh, he slept around.
But gangrene from sex?
Well,
how hard you got to fuck to get gangrene?
Maybe he fucked this chick that got shot in the ass or something.
He might have fucked animals.
No, you got to. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cuba was getting dirty, bro. Cuba was dirty. It was dirty.
Oh, jeez.
Now let me tell you something.